and call the meeting to order. And Karen will start recording. And I'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting this evening on the shared territory of the Snawas and Qualicum First Nation. And we thank them for their stewardship of the land and allowing us to live, work, and play in this beautiful part of Vancouver Island. Could I ask trustees for an adoption of the agenda as presented? Trustee Kellogg, seconded by Trustee Young. All those in favor, trustees? Thank you. Carried. Approval of the consent agenda in your package. A mover and a seconder, please, for this evening's consent agenda. Trustee Kellogg. Thank you, Trustee Young. All those in favor? Carried. We do have a delegation this evening. Linda Fell is here with the Oceanside Integrated Fitness Society. This is a program that we have supported out of the Qualicum Commons for almost a year now, and I'll turn it over. It is in your package, folks, just to draw your attention to the presentation. It's pages 30 to 31. And Linda, I'll turn it over to you for your 10 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. May I begin by saying thank you for allowing me to make this presentation to all of the board trustees. My name is Linda File, and I'm addressing you as the chair of a new not-for-profit called Oceanside Integrated Fitness Society. We were incorporated in February of this year for the purpose of creating and operating an adapted, sustainable, accessible fitness center in the Oceanside community, in particular for people with disabilities. Various formats of universal access or for a fitness center for all have been in place in the community for a number of years, with the constant challenge of finding funding to purchase the specialized equipment needed, and then finding the appropriate and affordable space. This was spearheaded under the combined umbrella of Qualicum Community Education and Wellness Society, or CUES, and Access Oceanside Association, AOA. First, in partnership with Jim's Gym in Parksville, where he gave the group a separate room for their clients. Unfortunately, as with many things, COVID forced the closure of that facility permanently. That did not deter the commitment and dedication of a few people, including Bill Preston, Holly Letcher, Mike Domes, Lorna Gray, and my husband, Darwin Fraser. Fortunately, a new space became available on a temporary basis through the generosity of the Qualicum School District within the Commons in Qualicum Beach. Room number 12 at the Commons, with the rent waived for 9 months, was the catalyst for Spark to grant funds to CUES to run a pilot project for a dedicated accessible facility. That pilot project program changed the lives of disabled members of the community who had nowhere else to go. It operated in partnership with the Nanaimo Brain Injury Society, NBIS, who brought the professionalism, the staff, and other resources to make the brain body fitness program successful and demonstrated the desperate need that exists in the Oceanside community. When that project ended and NBIS was unable to carry on the project due to lack of resources, Darwin and I decided to take on the challenge of creating a dedicated, not-for-profit, charitable organization to take over the gym and operate it in a sustainable and successful manner. We were determined not to lose that community asset. Although not in the fitness sector, I have many years of experience in operations of a successful charitable organization in the Lower Mainland. My husband, who is disabled, had a great career in business and education, and together we have built a remarkable board of directors of talented community leaders, including Mary Ellen Campbell, Kim Longmuir, Karen Freeman, Bev Harrison, and Pam Haddigan, who are dedicated and committed to making this a successful reality, modeled on a similar organization called MOVE in Victoria. As mentioned, we have incorporated the not-for-profit as a society and are currently working on gaining charitable status to allow for a strong fundraising campaign to garner operating money. With the lease currently with CEWS about to expire, we are here to ask you to join us in this project as our partner. We would like to request that the school board waive the rent on room number 12 at the Commons in Qualicum Beach to us, Oceanside Integrated Fitness Society, as the tenant for a period of 1 year. And in lieu of rent, we provide access to the school district to use the adapted fitness facility during a mutually agreed schedule as an asset for use with the disabled children located within the district's boundaries. At the end of that term, both parties would assess the arrangement to determine its value to the school board and if it should be terminated or possibly expanded. The most important issue to acknowledge is that there is a very functional, adapted fitness facility in Oceanside through a lot of commitment and generosity of a number of people and agencies, not least of all the school district. And it would be tragic to let it die for a few $100s. It is a wonderful community asset that should be nurtured. And part of that is ensuring it is programmed to its maximum capacity. Not operated solely by one agency, but through community collaboration and partnership, not creating more silos. Small communities survive and thrive by working together. This endeavor could perhaps include the school district, VHA, the regional district, and the support of local physiotherapists. We just need you to say yes to this request. Please find attached a list of contact information for the dedicated community members who make up the board of directors of Oceanside Integrated Fitness Society. If you would like to contact any of them directly, please feel free to do so. Together with them, we can make this work. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thanks very much, Linda. And my apologies for mispronouncing your last name.
People do it all the time.
I think maybe it's not the first time.
No, always.
Yes. Our trustees, do you have any questions at this time? I think we are familiar with the whereabouts and the program you have been running, and certainly if at a point in time in our agenda later, if we discuss this further, we'll take your request into consideration. But trustees, are there any questions of Linda this evening? Trustee Kellogg.
Hi, Linda. Thank you very much for your presentation. In the last go round, I intended to come and have a bit of a tour of the facility. I've seen it from the outside, but I've never been in. Is there a good day to come up, or should I go through your contact information list? And
well, it's not open every day right now.
Right.
It's so I would certainly a Tuesday or I think he's there Thursday, Friday. But I mean, I would be more than delighted to meet you and give you the tour.
okay.
If you wanted to get in touch with me and we could set up a time, and then I can show you all the fancy equipment, and then you could even give it a test drive.
Great. Thank you so much. I'll do that.
Okay, great.
Trustee Austin.
Thank you very much, Linda. I'm just wondering, Eve, if this could be something that we just put on our agenda for next month as a motion.
Sure, certainly we can do that, and then everyone has a time to either visit or contact any of the directors that have been listed. Yep, that would be appropriate follow-up for sure.
That's great.
I see no further questions from trustees, so thank you very much, Linda, for your presentation. And as Trustee Austin has indicated, we consider a motion at our June meeting before we break for summer.
Okay, I look forward to giving all of you a
Yeah.
tour. Thank
Thank you very much.
Okay, take
Great.
care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Not sure how I got out of here.
Just hit escape, leave.
Oh.
You can stay for the whole meeting though, if you like. You're
Oh, no,
quite
it's
welcome.
okay. I have friends for dinner, so I'm gonna, oh, there it is, right there. Thanks so much. Good
Leave.
evening.
Okay, good night. Mount Arrowsmith, no business arising from our minutes, so Mount Arrowsmith Teachers Association, Mr. Wood.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Awanet and bonsoir. As always, just a few points to talk about today. First, I would like to inform the board that MATA, Mount Arrowsmith Teachers Association, held its executive elections on Tuesday, May 7th. I'd like to announce that I have been elected to serve MATA members as their president for another year. I want to state that it has been and continues to be an honor and a privilege to represent all MATA members and ensure that our collective agreement continues to support our work. Those members include teachers, counselors, learning support teachers, specialist teachers, and TTOCs. In addition, Katie Tical was elected to first vice president, and Carrie Faw was elected to second vice president / secretary. I was very pleased with the engagement of the members at the meeting and the ability for all our seats on the MATA executive to be filled. With today's demands of teaching in a classroom setting, MATA truly appreciates all members who volunteer to support union endeavors. Second, I'd like to thank the outgoing DPAC executive for their professionalism, time, support, interest, and dedication to supporting students by providing necessary information to parents and monetary support for and almost all of teacher-initiated programs. Your efforts to support education and develop school culture across the district has not gone unnoticed. On behalf of teachers, MATA wants to thank you for all that you do and have done to support students and public education. MATA looks forward to working with DPAC's new executive and continue the great support for students in Qualicum School District. And finally, I want to take a moment to emphasize the importance of process when working within a public education system. And I want to share MATA's appreciation to the board and its respect for process. Oftentimes, there are situations that arise within a large system, like education, that require all participants to follow the protocols and processes that have been developed in order to bring resolution. Through our Public Finance Committee and Policy Committee and Education Committee, and with an addition of our union management meetings and other union district meetings, this board provides opportunity for concerned stakeholders to gain information, listen to perspectives, and provide insight to support board decisions. From time to time, the processes required to bring resolution to a situation require a level of confidentiality. MATA understands the difficult situations that the board must resolve and appreciates the board's high regard and respect for following its own policies as well as our articles within our collective agreement. MATA will continue and is committed to work with the board and senior management to support the importance of process to bring fair resolution. I will change this up to say tonight that healthy teachers make healthy classrooms, and to thank everyone, merci and hi sepqua.
Thanks, Mr. Woods. Appreciate your comments. And now I'll call upon QP Local 3570 and new president, Mr. Rycroft.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ewan Rycroft, the president of QP 3570. I'd first off like to thank Carrie and all the DPAC executive that have done so much for the kids over their time here. They will be missed and have greatly appreciated for everything that you have done. QP 3570 wants it to be known we're beyond frustrated with the cuts to our clerical and library clerks. This is going to hurt not only QP members, but the children who rely on services every day. Cutting support staff positions seems to be the easiest cut to make for some, but with no thought into how services will be delivered has been thought out. The clerical are the staff that run the school offices, that keep the school running. The library clerks are the foundation of the school and supplying, supporting, and access to all sorts of educational content, giving the space of inclusivity, community for kids who may not otherwise have access to such services. Our members don't see this as just a job. They love the kids, the work, and they want all the kids to be successful in their education and their school needs. Cutting frontline service is not the answer. While we don't want anyone to have to deal with cuts, it seems there has been no equitable approaches. First of all, you need to make cuts. Then why not start by creating a hiring freeze and not postings? Without discussion with the stakeholders, many of our staff work extra hours for free. This is going to stop. Our members are not paid salary. Our members are paid by the hour, and a lot of them are just scraping by, often having to take more than one job. It's creating a revolving door of employee retention. Maybe the employer could have engaged with stakeholders in an attempt to find efficiencies that would not have resulted in a loss of jobs and hours. Our educational systems will soon be feeling these cuts, and those cuts will affect our kids in the classroom. With less EAs, we could see an increase in elevated behavior and a decrease in the learning time, affecting every student in the classroom. I know we strive for education for our students. I don't feel cutting EAs would be in the best interest of learning community. EA positions have changed drastically over the years and are no longer assisting students and teachers. They have to deal with behavior issues, often lead to injury, biting, kicking, traumas, and more. The board needs to ask why are EAs not staying? Limited hours and behavioral challenges do not create retention. The result, it disrupts everyone's education. We collectively wish that the board would have considered continuing the clerical support before giving administrative personnel efficiency raises. This would have reduced the need to cut a number of the school positions. Unfortunately, the decrease in school secretaries, library clerks, and EA time will directly impact the quality of learning that takes place in our schools. So when do the children come first? QP 3570 will be exploring options to raise concerns of students, staff, and parents, as this is unacceptable. The savings you think you generate for a small deficit impact and cost of the education system. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Aircraft. Deepak and Carrie, we all know it's not your final message, and yes, the board echoes, of course, the sentiments of our union partners and stakeholders of the wonderful service you have and led with your colleagues, Angel and Jessica and more, to giving our parent community, caregiver community, the voice at this table and many other tables that you so amiably led with such humor and certainly with a very skilled group that you've been. We will certainly miss having you as our DPAC team, and wish you whatever you do in next steps, all of you. I know Angel's returning to Oceanside as PAC chair, so and I bet you've got somewhere you're gonna fill in some activity.
We thank you so much. Those are such kind words. I'm going to make sure to get the minutes, and I'm just going to read them every night to myself. So I thank you to all three of you for saying those kind words. Thank you. DPAC would like to thank the school district for teaming up with us to bring in 2 guest speakers this month. We wish there were more families who were in attendance to hear Safer Schools Together speak out about social media awareness, digital citizenship, and cyberbullying. Those in attendance learned that they could check into and implement right away to ensure our kids and parents caregivers are aware of their digital tattoo. DPAC will continue to share information from Safer Schools Together with our PACs so all families have an opportunity to learn. Our keynote address, Misha Oak from LGBTQ+ Corporation Training, was well attended. We received an email from KSS PAC extending their appreciation and gratitude for us arranging this event. While a couple of individuals were reminded that sharing a video recording of the presentation where students were in attendance would be a violation and could be charged, overall, the event was a success. We are grateful to have had Misha return to QSD to address SOGI and family concerns. While we believe this event was a success, we also recognize that there is still much work to be done to ensure all our children, their families, caregivers, and our staff feel included, seen, accepted, and safe within our district community. Carrie, Jessica, and Angel, part of the current executive team, have chosen not to hold a DPAC executive position next year. However, they will happily continue to work with the QSD and school PACs to promote and enhance the incredible work that is being done to support our LGBTQ2+ community. We are grateful to be part of such an accepting community of allies. Elections for DPAC president and vice president were held on May 15th, 2024. With the other executive positions being filled in the fall. You need to be a local school PAC executive to hold a DPAC executive position, and this format allows for all PACs to hold their school elections prior to completing the DPAC executive team. We received only one nomination for DPAC president, and as such, without a vote, Ray Wawarniak from AES PAC was acclaimed as the 24-25 DPAC president. DPAC would like to take this time to thank our current DPAC executive team for all of their years of positive contribution to help build QSD into the successful community we are today. We are proud of our hard work, many volunteer hours, and laughs we shared. We look forward to our paths crossing again and wish everyone good luck on their school PACs and new adventures. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Carrie. Elaine, you have a comment? Usually we don't do this, but I'll let you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Flynn. Yes, I do have a comment because I was talking with someone from Springwood PAC the other day, and I said, I remember when I first came into the Springwood PAC and Carrie was there. And that was what, 10 years ago, something like that. Carrie, you have been a cheerleader in this district, and I really appreciate our friendship and are walking together and all of the good things that we're going to continue to do. And I will see you at the next Bolinas PAC meeting because you will be there. But just to echo what everybody else has said, but also Carrie has a way, and Angel has a way of doing this, of bringing people into the conversation and making them so excited about education. So I just want to do a special call out. Thank you.
Thanks, Trustee Young. No public questions and comments have been written, so we'll move on to our information items for this evening. And first off, our superintendent's report, Dr. Peter Jory.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, everyone. It's Squale. Bonjour. So we're meeting on the 28th of May today. I will update my April, May, June comment from last month and say it's just really June remaining, and it will no doubt pass by in a blur. We are very much looking forward to all the end of year activities all around the school district, including field trips, outdoor events, and of course, graduation ceremonies. I had the pleasure of attending the boat races the other day at the Ravensong Pool. This is one of the most new curriculum activities I've seen in any school district, with teams of students from around the district working together to build boats made of cardboard and duct tape, which were then raced across the pool. The core competencies of communication, critical thinking, and collaboration were on full display, and there were tons of opportunities for students to incorporate math and science and ADST, and certainly art. I did manage to make some predictions based on my own learning, and can say that those teams which stuck to the principles of what makes a good skiff, compact, sturdy, well-sealed, lots of duct tape, Fred Green would have been proud. They seem to have the most success, at least by conventional standards. However, those who were more artistic in their endeavors seem to have, well, at least as much fun, and that counts for something too. I'm going to play this if I could. Share my screen and bring that up. And I can't see if you can see it. I'll do this. There you go. Chair Flynn, can you see this? I see you. Can you see the screen?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
sorry.
Okay, hang on. Technical moment here. Let's share. Let's do that. How about now?
There you go.
There we go. There we go. Okay.
There we go.
I don't think the sound's on, but you can just make a kind of some screaming in your head if you don't hear it, and you'll get the idea. Here we go. Ready, set, and go.
Oh, at the bottom. Oh dear.
And this one's a photo finish at the end. It's really quite tight. Here. I had to crouch down to get under the banners there. And there we go. Team on the right.
Ah,
And,
duct tape.
Paddles. Paddles are
And
important in this
paddles.
whole game. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
that was actually a very helpful addition with those teams that managed to make those duct tape paddles and wrap their hands around them. Anyway, during my own studying in the prior 4 years, I learned that while parents might support our new curriculum for the most part, they don't always understand it as well as they might, which is on us, to be fair, and that their support may depend to some degree on how well their kids are doing in regard to literacy and numeracy. We do need to buy that trust. Well, I was certainly pleased to share the most recent FSA results at the latest PAC meeting and note that we've made some solid gains this year and that our results now show as one of the top 2 or 3 districts on Vancouver Island. Yes. Well, we have some work to do with some of our learners, and though this momentum has not quite made it to the graduation assessments as of yet, there's still a lot of good news there. Given the high level of uptake to the recent Carol Fullerton sessions, I'm very confident we can continue to make progress across all our schools and with those challenging secondary assessments too. As the person charged with overseeing student learning in the district, I can tell you that I am sleeping better these days, and I look forward to sharing this information in more depth at the upcoming FESL reports in September. Last month, I talked a lot about secondary timetables. Everyone who was on our district email list did get a rather in-depth letter from me a week ago Thursday. I apologize for the length, but given all the information swirling around, I thought it was important to cover as much as possible in that communication. If you missed it somehow or did not make it past the first couple of paragraphs, understandable. We are going to do a much simpler 2-day schedule next year, aligned in both standard secondary schools, KSS and BSS, where the AM and PM blocks do not switch over across lunch. Aside from all the options this will open up for our students over time, and it will take some time in some cases, I'm thinking about 3 current students who would have benefited from this less complicated structure. The first is a grade 12 who had just 1 course to finish and a job that starts at 10 every day and has to miss work 3 days out of 4 because of the way the blocks rotate. The second is also a grade 12 student who wanted to take courses at VIU in the afternoons, but had to leave us entirely because we could not accommodate their schedule due to the block rotations again. And the third is a student who's on a half-day program because of some anxiety issues, does okay for the mornings only, manages to make it when it's afternoon only, but when their schedule straddles lunch, it becomes somewhat of a problem. It's our job as an education system to set high standards for our students, support them as much as we can to be successful, but also to help break down barriers that prevent their success. And this includes barriers that may be long-standing and in some cases arbitrary. I hope we're able to do that. Director Terpstra and Associate Superintendent Wilson will update you on the professional learning and other happenings around the district as they do every month. I want to close by thanking all staff for their hard work this May in doing what is right on behalf of our students. No matter how you work to support students and student learning in the Qualicum School District, we appreciate your efforts very much. Isepka, everyone, thank you, and merci beaucoup.
Thanks, Dr. Jory. Trustees, any questions of the superintendent's report this evening? Seeing none, I'll move to our dynamic team of Associate Superintendent Ms. Wilson and Director of Instructions Rudy Terpstra for the educational programs update. And they rotate as to who goes first and who goes seconds. I'll leave it to you two. Okay,
So,
looks like Mr. Terpstra.
Since Superintendent Jory stole most of my thunder, I do want to highlight that. Yeah, I do want to shout out to all of our educators. We had over 70 educators at the dinner series doing numeracy with Carol Fullerton, 30, which was a targeted session for grade 4 multiplicative thinking, and then 40 for our grade 6 to 9 session. So that was really awesome. We thank those teachers and recognize, they are planning lessons to be able to come out and learn together with us. Also on the careers front, I do have to shout out to Chris Govin, who organized all of the Explore and ADST activities we had at the district, including Skills Canada and culminating in the boat building. super proud that we had all schools, but behind Chris and his team is at least one teacher at all the sites, including a big shout out. We had False Bay participating this year, and I think they even got some prizes in the boat building categories too. For those of you, not only do they have the speed competition, but they have a weight competition and see a floating competition to see how long the boats can float till they sink. So exciting stuff, and really thankful to all the teachers involved in all of those opportunities. Also in careers, we have an amazing Summer Explorer Careers program where we have 24 students interested in that program. I'm mentioning this because next Ed Committee and hopefully board meeting, we're going to come to you seeking approval for another board authorized course. Typically for these students who are usually their summer of grade 9 or 10, they get some career exploration, get some certifications and some work experience. And we have been doing this as a work experience, and it's kind of early to give a grade 9, grade 10 student a grade 12 work experience because they may want to have those explorations later. So we're going to present a board authorized 10 course that really fits this summer program that we do each year for a long time. So that's coming up at Ed Committee. Just wanted to remind everyone, learning updates and summary of learning, this is our first year in the new reporting order. And I got to say, across the system, it's been great. We had learning updates at elementary, both in the fall before Christmas break, and then in the spring before spring break. And then everybody will be getting their final summative learning updates in June this year. So, other reminding people of other tweaks. Students set goals this year, and then there's also going to be core competency reflection. So it was a definitely year of learning and growing, but I commend the system wide that I think we did a great job again for Qualicum School District. And that is all I have for today. I'll turn it over to Ms. Wilson.
And I have a few things. The first one, I want to recognize the, sorry, was there a question for Rudy there, Trustee Young? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Trustee Young.
Yeah, I didn't get my hand up fast enough.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's just, I got an email from, I just sent it to Carrie, and it's actually right now. So, it was about dual credit, and a parent meeting and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, Mr. Terpstra, if you wanted to talk about that. Because it looked kind of interesting to me, but it's happening right now.
Yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend because of this, but our career education team, Greg Muirhead, is hosting a parent information session, really sharing all of the training trades, the apprenticeship programs, and dual credit opportunities for our students. And I can honestly say, because of our team, we're getting a bump up of students for next year that we haven't seen in a while, and taking advantage of these opportunities at VIU. But mostly it's training trades programs, apprenticeship programs. We have a program, and then dual credit, where students can actually just take university courses at VIU or Northland College. And again, this is there's a nice slideshow on the tab on the public side of the website under career education. And yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Terpstra.
Good shout out for that. That's lots of opportunities that parents and kids should know about as they progress through their senior years. And Ms. Wilson.
So the first one I want to mention is we're receiving lots of positive feedback from the Long Service Committee and the trustees for the recognition for staff for 10, 20, and 30 years of support and service. And so I think it's appropriate to also give credit to that committee and to our Board of Trustees who are recognizing that they've done and continue to do. So I wanted to pass on those acknowledgements because we're getting to hear them, and it's important that you hear them from our staff who really, really, really appreciate the work that you're doing for them in that recognition. A couple of other things. One of them is the pre-kindergarten program that we are doing right now. There's over 100 of our pre-kindergarten students for next year in those programs. I feel a little bit envious because Miss Sheila Morrison is getting stopped in the community and told what an amazing program it is. We even had one person say, how do I register for next year? So they wanted to make sure that they can get in programs. We'll do the survey again at the end of the session. It's the last week next week. We'll do the survey to see what parents appreciated, and we do ask questions around how it's impacted their youngsters being part of that particular program as we look at welcoming them into our kindergarten classes in the September. The other person I want to recognize around the kindergarten is Denise Spencer-Dahl. We have done our own welcome to kindergarten bags, and I'm sure she can go on the road and sell them to many neighboring districts. They are so good. It's a brown bag, so it is a recyclable bag that we have our current kindergartens decorate, and then it's got some loose parts in there, it's got a book in there, it's got some cards in there, it's got some games in there. We've created our own Holcomb Laleham language loose part book, so we work with our Indigenous Education Department, and so some of the Holcomb Laleham words for different pieces are in the book too, and so we had it published, or copied and published, and that goes in the bag as well. So really want to give a credit to Denise for a lot better than what we used to buy commercially to go into the Welcome to Kindergarten. It is homegrown, and it's beautiful to see. A couple of our schools have already done the Welcome to Kindergarten, and so their bags are starting to get circulated right now, so that's wonderful. The other thing that I want to talk about on a really high level, because that's the information that we have right now, at the beginning of May, end of April, it was announced that our community is going to get what's called an integrated child and youth team. It's a complex team. It's a complex situation where our community has been recognized as needing some support alongside other communities in the province. There's currently 12 communities already have an integrated child and youth team in their communities, and we're one of 8 that's coming on board this coming year as part of phase 3. And where it comes from is what was called the Pathway to Hope funding, which did some research around what were the community needs back in 2019. And from the Pathway of Hope, they recognized that communities needed to do some work to be able to address 4 particular areas. One around children and youth and families being disconnected. They felt it was at a crisis point. They felt that there's not enough services in particular communities, and there's some barriers to access in communities. And so they've developed through the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions, who holds a big umbrella, a partnership with the Ministry of Children and Family, the health authorities, so the different regions for the health authorities, and school districts, a partnership where we come together as a local team, and then we hire particular positions within that local team to look at where gaps are and who needs to provide support and services to the children, youth, and community and families in our community. It purely is an outreach program, and there's lots of collaboration, lots of integration in how we do our work together. So we've not got families and youth and children sitting on wait lists, and we're receiving direct support. What it means for our district in terms of where our role is, obviously we sit at that particular table, but we also get to hire 2 staff that will belong to the school district staff. One person is a clinical counselor who's a supervisor, and the other person is a peer support person whom has got lived experiences in one of those particular areas that they're targeting and looking at. Under Island Health, they hire a program lead, they hire some clerical support. There's some concurrent support around where they might have concurrent disorder, as well as discovery for drug and alcohol. And they look at a culturally sensitive support person as well. Lots to learn about how this works, but it really is a need in our community. We were at the chapter meeting for the superintendents a couple weeks ago, and one of our neighboring districts was quite miffed, if I may say, that they did not get the integrated child and youth team in their district. They felt that they should have it. They've got lots of complexities. And so what we commented on is that we don't have a foundry in our community. We don't have a hospital in our community, and the urgent care center closes at 10 o'clock. So you've got to have your crisis before 10 o'clock, or you have to go down to the Nanaimo Regional General Hospital. So that's a long way for our families to travel and to go to. There's lots more details that I have. There's lots more details that we don't have yet. We start our conversation this Thursday with one of the leads for our Highland Health region, and then we have bi-weekly meetings with the ministry who's responsible for making sure that this rolls out in a smooth and effective way. Our social worker, Ian Hay, and myself went to a meeting last week where we were learning from the 12 communities that have already had this happening in their community, and we have lots to learn, lots of questions. I did share it with our counselors today at our counselors meeting because it is something that they will be actively part of because they do see lots of children and youth that have needs and need support in different ways. So more to come on it, but I thought we would take a few minutes and just share with you that we're excited about it, but there's lots we have to learn and lots that's going to come about, which we'll keep you updated on. Thanks.
Thanks, Ms. Wilson. Yes, this is an exciting new territory for us and certainly needed. And I know some of the surrounding areas it might be a bit challenged. But anyway, Trustee Young, you have a comment.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions and I don't know if you can answer them, but Jillian, but I'm wondering if there's a place for the health network, the Nanatsuma Health Network in this, and whether, you know, whether that because they've been doing some, as you well know, they've been doing some needs assessment and gaps and so on. And the other thing is, how does this group define youth? Because the definition, especially on the upper end, I've heard people who are 30 are still youth and people who are 19 are not youth anymore. And so do you know anything about that?
Through the chair, I can answer the second one quite easier. It's 0 to 19 and it is community. And so it is youth in our community. So they don't have to be youth that are engaged in our school system. They can be youth that are attending an independent school. It is youth in our community. They say 0 to 19, but they also work with youth up until 21 if they've started that support and that care. So again, their mandate is 0 to 19, but they'll go up to 21. In terms of the other, I think it's still a work in progress because we do have some amazing structures and we have some amazing collaboration in our community. What we need to work on is make sure we're integrating. And so how do we do the referrals? What do they look like? And making sure that families have got some support, but they don't have support everywhere. One of the things that we've heard as they've developed the programs is it's really important to listen to youth who are saying it's really hard to share my story over and over and over again. So how do we support that collaboration, wraparound support for particular youth?
Thanks, Ms. Wilson. Trustee Austin. Mute button's gone somewhere. Okay, in the meantime, I'll fill in until Trustee Austin comes online. I was in Oceanside Elementary, Equal Oceanside yesterday doing our long service recognition, and thank you very much for your compliment, Ms. Wilson, to our team. Trustee Kellogg is also on the committee with me, but I did get an overview of the pre-K class that is situated at Oceanside Elementary. And after a tremendous list of all the things that they were going to be doing over the next 6 weeks, the most charming story was they were doing their adventure from the classroom down to the music room and experiencing the music room. And by the time they got back, they all needed a nap. So I just thought that was so charming and so wonderful that they were just, all senses were probably going after being to the music room, that by the time they had to get back to the class when they all rolled down on the floor and had a nap on their blankies. So it is, I know from last year, because we were at a pilot site in the news, that parents just were, just so appreciative of the whole package, the whole experience.
I'll mention one more thing that I know trustees like to see. And we were talking about it at our council's meeting today in terms of the planning for it. Our grad walk happens on June the 11th.
Yes,
If you
yes,
want to bring some tissues
yes.
and visit us elementary school, it is amazing to see our graduates come and how they are welcomed and honored by their elementary school of their choice. And sometimes it's the classroom teacher that they're going back for. Sometimes it's the school they're going back for. So those are what plans are well on their way. And there's lots of tears on that day, from the littles to the bigs to the teachers that are saying, my goodness, Jill, you made it. So
It did.
yeah, lots of great positive things. June the 11th.
Yeah, like the grad walk I participated with last year, and sort of the treats at the end for them, and the grads, so many of them stopped to find themselves on the wall for their class pictures. And like, oh, so reaffirming, and that they, there's a big deal. I think it's a great experience that we do in our district. I don't know if other districts do it, but I sure like it that we do. So grad walk, June the 11th. Ms. Austin, have you found your unmute button, or you're okay? You may need it in the future. Okay, we'll go on. The Finance and Ops Committee of the Whole, Trustee Young's report is attached on pages 32 to 34. And we have some intermediate presentations as well to experience from the recommendations, but Trustee Young, do you want to take the lead? And
Sure, I'll do that. Yeah, finance and operations was where it was happening this month. Boy, oh boy, we had a lot of people and a lot of stuff going on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play tag with Mr. Amos here. And so it says facilities discussion. Mr. Amos, over to you.
Thank you. Yes, so again, we had, basically we introduced obviously the topic through my briefing note, and I would sort of draw your attention to the briefing note. It speaks to this discussion in general in terms of why it's on the table. It's basically, it comes back to capital considerations, the costs that have been sort of discussed for the past year and a half kind of thing. The operating costs are being covered through tenants, and we're sort of proposing through the recommendation that's before the, not necessarily before the board, but for consideration today, and then if there's an appetite to pursue it in June regular board meeting. But it is about the facility closures of Qualicum Commons and Craig Street Commons. And again, I draw your attention to the briefing note. It really is about the 2014 decision to close these sites for educational purposes. The last 10 years, they've been used for rental sites for the community needs. As we sort of parsed out the information on the capital needs on these sites, we've kind of indicated that there's about $3 million worth of capital costs associated with Qualicum Commons and about $1.8 million associated with Craig Street Commons. And so what we're proposing to the board is that, by definition of having it on the agenda today, we're giving notice that the discussion will move forward in June for consideration to the board. But today's discussion is really about just the board positing questions that may not have been articulated at the finance and operations, and just to again, the declaration for the board that the board is considering this. One of the considerations that I put before in my briefing note is the fact that we don't necessarily need to do this immediate. And again, so the immediate in the sense of 1 year away is appropriate. That way it gives the community members, the tenants themselves, an opportunity to find and lay out plans in terms of next steps for them. It's really about the board obviously entertaining the consideration to the community at large, that they are considering the closure process of these two sites. The date that's being recommended is July 1st, 2025. That gives effectively as of today if you want to put it on that 13 months notice, but recognizing that the decision won't be made or doesn't need to be made until next month's regular board meeting. I'll just leave it
Okay.
at that.
Thank you, Mr. Amos. So my understanding is that this is a notice of motion, and the motion may come to the May board, the June board meeting. And the reference pages are page 35 to 37, and I don't know, I'll hand it back to you, Chair Flynn, for people's questions.
As Trustee Young has said, this is a serving notice of motion, which has been done. I don't believe we vote on a notice of motion, so it is out there for everyone now to have some initial questions if they haven't had them addressed at the Finance and Operations Committee, and want to ask them now prior to, and there likely would be in the June 17th meeting of Finance and Operations to readdress this again. It will come up, and then at our June 26th meeting would be the time the motion was entertained on the floor. Are there any further questions, trustees, or queries that have come to your minds over the last week? And if we don't address them this evening, keep them, and we will address it again at Finance and Ops on June 17th. Thank you very much, Mr. Amos. Good. And then now, Trustee Young, on to annual 5-year capital plan.
Yeah. So, just a reminder that we have to vote in the motion. The first motion has to be carried unanimously in order to vote on all 3 readings tonight. I'll read the first recommendation, and then if there are questions or comments that Mr. Amos wants to make, that's great. And the recommendation is that the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum approve all 3 readings of the School District 69 Qualicum Capital Plan Bylaw number 2024/2025 CPSD 69. This is hard for somebody who's dyslexic. -02 at its regular board meeting of May 28th, 2024. And I'll move that, of course.
So moved by Trustee Young. Could I have a seconder, please, trustees? Thank you, Trustee Kurland. The -02, of course, recognizes the addition of the Bolinas HVACs being carried onto the capital plan to the minister. Any questions, trustees? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you, Trustee Austin. Okay, we're unanimously past the 3 readings for this evening. So Trustee Young, if you could proceed with first reading.
You bet. That the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum give first reading to adopt the School District 69 Qualicum Capital Plan Bylaw number 2024/2025 CPSD 69-02 at its regular board meeting of May 28th, 2024.
You, Trustee Young, could I have a seconder, please, trustees? Second, Trustee Kellogg. Any questions?
Any
Seeing none.
comments that Mr. Amos might want to make at this point? No?
Oh,
No.
Okay. All there.
thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Next reading, Trustee Young.
That the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum gives second reading to adopt the School District 69 Qualicum Capital Plan Bylaw number 2024/2025 CPSD 69-02 at its regular board meeting of May 28th, 2024.
Moved by Trustee Young, seconded please by Trustee Kellogg. Any questions, trustees? All those in favor? Carried. And final reading, Trustee Young.
Thank you. That the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum give third and final reading to adopt the School District 69 Qualicum Capital Project Bylaw number 2024/2025 CPSD 69-02 at its regular board meeting of May 28th, 2024.
Thank you, trustee Young. And a seconder, please, trustees. Thank you, trustee Kellogg. Any further questions, trustees? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, trustee Young. And now we move on. You had a big meeting.
We had a
Capital-
big meeting. We had a lot
ma-
of stuff.
Major childcare capital submissions, page 42 in your package this evening, folks.
Thank you.
Over to you, trustee Young.
That the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum ratify support of the 2024/2025 major childcare capital submission.
Could I have a seconder, trustees? Thank you, trustee Kurland. Any questions, trustees? It's expanding and growth and could be quite exciting for new childcare facilities in Bowser and Qualicum L.
Qualicum L and Winchelsea.
Sorry, not
Winchelsea.
Bowser. Bowser's next. Sorry, Winchelsea. My apologies. Call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you for the correction, Mr. Amos. And now the annual facilities grant. Boy, we're spending money tonight, guys.
Yes, we are. Just on that childcare, of course, it's a capital submission, which doesn't mean that we've got it yet,
Yeah.
but we'll see how it goes. 2024-25 annual facility grant spending plan that the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum receive and support. The 2024/25 annual facility grant spending plan as presented on page 43 and 44.
Thank you, trustee Young, and a seconder, please, trustees. Thank you, trustee Kellogg. Are there any questions, trustees? Seeing no hands, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, climate accountability.
Yeah, they all come out at the same time, eh? That the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum receive the 2023 Climate Change Accountability Report as presented on pages 45 to 50.
Could I have a seconder, trustees? Thank you, trustee Kurland. I think it's really great that we're down 25%. That's some of these steps. Director of Operations, Mr. Monroe is nodding his head. These things are, not immediate, but over the long term, we're making progress in the right direction. Little blip with
Yeah, that's the take. Sorry, and just to interject, absolutely, that's the sort of the takeaway that obviously in finance and ops, I wanted to present it and put it on here for public, if you want, for public consumption, as it were, because it is a good thing. This is the work of operations and his staff. This is the work of the entire district when it comes to heeding the advice of closing doors, closing windows, kind of thing, in terms of the element of keep the heating
Steady.
systems
Steady.
not taxing them, if you want, not taxing the heating system. So it is a collective pat on the back, as it were, for the work that not only operations is leading, but certainly trickling down all the way to the classroom setting of the teachers, recognizing the needs of airflow, but also recognizing the needs of not wanting to max out our systems. So yes, a good news item. We'll see how it generates over the next couple of years.
And I think the kids too that are participating in the recycling and the composting and the different ways and means of our garbage in the big world of things being put in different places and being then recycled in different ways. I see hands first of trustee Austin, and hopefully your unmute works. There we go.
Yes, I had to restart everything. I'm just wondering, I don't expect you to, unless you have it at the top of your head, Phil or Ron. Do you have any idea of what our entire district kilowatt hours are per year?
I don't have that at the top of my head. I'm not sure if Ron does.
Do you have a sense, because we have the little chart here of total solar power that was produced? And I just want to compare it to the overall kilowatt hour. So do you have a sense? Is it like 2%, 3%, 5%? No? Okay, well, we'll,
Or maybe we
don't.
could leave it. We
Yeah,
could leave
well,
it with
yeah.
it as a follow-up.
yeah, no, I didn't think that you might have that at the top of your head, but we'll get that. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, trustee Young again?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that we did have a consultant come in and work with us, and some of the recommendations that that consultant made have made a huge difference as well. So kudos to our operations department for getting us on the road here.
Yep, I'm sorry, I would suggest you moved it, but I don't think I got a seconder before we
No.
jumped into questions. Could I have a seconder for the motion that we have? Thank you, trustee Kellogg, and then Mr. Monroe.
Yeah, just to Trustee Young's point there on the consultant that we had that was brought in before I got here, Prism Engineering, that did a bunch of work, and the recommendations that came from that really have tuned up our system, and we're engaging with them to do the other 5 schools in our district. These things are never just one solution. Solar panels are a part of it. The diligence from the staff is another part of it. Maintenance and upkeep, and the Prism Engineering to recommend where we invest money to fine tune our system. So it's a multitude of things that have got to this point.
The DDCs and those controls are a big part of just general what we do, tuning.
Yep, exactly.
Seeing no further hands, I'll call a question of trustees. All those in favor of receiving the report as presented. Thank you very much. Carrie, thanks. Whoa, what a meeting there, trustee Young.
Oh, yeah.
Lots. Okay,
and the next meeting is,
If I may.
is
Oh, sorry.
sometime,
June 17th, I believe.
June the 17th. All are welcome.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
so-
Mr. Amos, some
And
closing
just
remarks?
to follow up, yes, absolutely. Just to follow up, the CCAR report will go on our website as per normal, and it'll obviously be submitted now to the ministry, Clean BC folks, for, I won't say public consumption, but this is part of our collective mandate of all the such sector kind of thing, schools, universities, colleges, and hospitals, and all agencies kind of thing, to submit this report. So it will go collectively to them, and then they'll report out accordingly. That's it.
Thank you. And it'll be on our website, which I know is important for folks to be able to find these things on a local level, rather than getting down some rabbit holes of government websites. So over to you, trustee Kellogg, with the policy committee of the whole report, which is another active group, and you're plowing through that book.
Thank you very much, Chair Flynn. So the policy committee of the whole has these policies that are going to either second or third reading. And the first one is board policy 700, safe, caring, and inclusive school communities. The recommendation that the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum approve second reading to adopt the revisions to Board Policy 700, Safe and Caring and Inclusive School Communities, at its regular board meeting of April 23rd, 2024.
Regular April 28th, just a little typo. That's
Oh.
okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Or it's May.
Yes, and it's even that. So it's May
Oh, wait.
28th.
That's
there we
right,
go.
May
problem.
28th, 2024.
That's okay.
Apologies.
The rest are okay.
Yeah.
Could I have a seconder, please, trustees? Thank you, trustee Austin. Are there any questions, trustees? This is in your package, page 53 to 56. Seeing no hands raised, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Carried. Board policy 804.
Physical restraints and seclusion of students. Recommendation that the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum approve second reading to adopt the revisions to policy 804, physical restraints and seclusion to students, at its regular board meeting of May 28th, 2024. And the information is on page 57 to 62.
Thank you, trustee Kellogg. Could I have a seconder, please, trustees? Seconded by trustee Young. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. All right, on to board policy 103, school and district branding.
The recommendation that the Board of Education of School District 69 approve third and final reading to adopt the revisions to policy 103, school and district branding at its regular board meeting of May 28th, 2024.
Could I have a seconder, please, trustees? Seconded trustee Young. So this is their third and final reading. Any questions, trustees? Trustee Austin.
Thank you. There isn't any procedures, admin procedures with this policies yet. So I'm just wondering, Peter and whoever, puts the admin procedure together, I am asking that you consider as part of that admin procedure that we look at if there's a way to cover those signs during special events in the gymnasium, things like graduation or Remembrance Day, when it's appropriate not to have those as, I think, as a focus. So I'm just asking that you consider that when the admin procedures are written up or rewritten.
Thank you, trustee Austin. Duly noted. And trustee Young.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually about process on this. Okay, so I need to ask about process, because usually if it's a new policy, I think, and there are procedures attached, we also pass that in the third reading. Or if there have been changes to the administrative procedures. So Learning Resources doesn't have any procedures attached. I thought school and district branding did, but I don't have it right in front of me. So can somebody check on that for me?
I think that if it's not here tonight, then it hasn't been, and Dr. Dory is shaking his head, and I think trustee Austin has asked that when it's developed and the process is put in place, if an admin procedure changes, we are then advised of it. So I think we can proceed with this piece as a gatepost for development of admin procedures. Seeing no further questions, trustees, all those in favor? Carried. And now board policy 1510, learning resources. And yes, this is a new policy for us again. Yeah.
Recommendation that the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum approve third and final reading to adopt board policy 510, learning resources at its regular board meeting of May 28th, 2024.
Could I have a seconder, please, trustees? Thank you, trustee Kurland. Seeing no hands raised, call a question. All those in favor? Carried. And finally, board policy 705.
Corporate community sponsorship, partnership, and advertising in schools, that the Board of Education of School District 69 approve third and final reading to adopt the revisions to board policy 705, corporate community sponsorship, partnership, and advertising in schools as its intended administrative procedure at its regular board meeting of May 28th, 2024.
Seconder, please, trustees. And I think possibly, thank you, trustee Young. I think possibly, trustee Austin, your comment was related to this policy and not branding.
Yes, my apologies. That's the one that my comment, this is the one my comments are related to.
Yeah,
No
that's what I
wonder Peter
thought.
looked a little confused.
I was scrambling around and was going up and down the pages. The Remembrance Day feast and things like that's our site, or those are event specific, and that was your concept of
Yes.
having event specific, some covering up of logos and things like that, sponsorship during those
Yeah,
things.
so
And
that
take
things
that.
like graduation, that's the focus. Things like
Yeah.
Remembrance Day, that's the focus. And yeah,
Yeah.
just keeping everybody on their toes.
Yeah. Oh, you got us on our tippy toes now. Yeah. Branding versus corporate sponsorship. Okay, trustees clarified that. All those in favor? Carried. Thanks very much, Trustee Kellogg. Big package this evening. And now on to Education Committee of the Whole. Trustee Austin, and a very informative report attached as usual on pages 70 to 74. And then further outcomes of the meeting, Trustee Austin, are some recommendations.
Yes, as usual, I want to thank everybody that presented to our Ed Committee, and I also want to thank everybody that comes and participates and makes for some really great discussion. So Tandy and Rudy both gave presentations on these learning plans, and the outline of them are attached on pages, somewhere between pages 75 and 78. And the first one is planning learning for each student plan. That the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum approve the planning learning for each student plan as presented.
Oh, that's a lot of plans.
Yeah, it's a little wordy.
Cumbersome. Yeah, maybe we'll work on that one. So moved by Trustee Austin, seconder, please, trustees. Thank you, Trustee Kellogg. Any questions? I think my comment would be it's wonderful to see how these plans and the next are aligning with our strategic plan and the work of our schools in their alignment to the plan. Trustee Young.
Yeah, just to follow up on what you're saying, Chair Flynn, the learning for each student plan is one that particularly I just thought was such a great little handbook, and I just a shout out to the group that did that. It would be so helpful for parents and for counselors and for everybody who tries to give kids what they need in order to meet their potential.
Thank you, Trustee Young. Sorry, did I call for a seconder after Trustee Austin? Did I call? Okay, sorry, it's
You got
Trustee Kellogg.
Kellogg.
Thank you. Thank you. I usually write this down quickly and I sometimes jump a spot. Call the question. All those in favor? Thank you very much, everyone. And now assessment and communicating student learning plans. Trustee Austin.
Yes, and the recommendation coming out of the committee meeting is that the Board of Education of School District 69 Qualicum approve the assessment and communicating student learning plan as presented.
And a seconder, please. Trustee Young. And any questions or comments from trustees? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. And I think Trustee Austin, you two have a meeting coming up in June. I think it's the 17th as well. For some reason, I think everything's together, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's the 18th. So no representatives from outside groups reporting, and to trustee items, and I can call on Trustee Austin, who would like to comment on post-budget considerations.
Yes. So we passed our budget at the end of April. And as part of that budget, we included funding for the needs response team, otherwise known as NERT. It was a significant, I consider it a significant piece. So what I'm hoping, and I don't know if it would need a motion or anything like that, but it's sort of, this is more of a heads up. I think it would be a real benefit for all of us to have a report in January or February, very early on in next year's budget process, that gives gives us some more information. How is the NERT going? What is the response? Perhaps even a survey out to the teachers. You know, how is this working in your classroom? Are you seeing benefits? Things like that, so that we're actually seeing how that, if you know, how that investment, if we're getting something out of that investment. And perhaps we can relate it back to some of those reduction in hours we saw for EAs and clerical and library, and see if there's any sort of connections there that can be made. So I basically just wanted to put that out there. I like to put things out as early as we can so that people are thinking about it coming into the new school year. I heard a lot about NERT when we went to the learning plan sessions with the principals and vice principals. They came up a lot in their presentations, and that was really encouraging. So it would be basically taking things like that and having maybe a little bit more of a report pretty early on in next year's budget process so that we have that information moving forward.
A great idea. I think Superintendent Jory is nodding his head that that's probably good, laying the groundwork of how it works and the uptake and the type of topics teachers are collaborating on and things like that. So I'll go to my hands up first, though, and Trustee Kurlan's first, and then Dr. Jory. Trustee Kurlan.
Yeah, I think NERT is a significant step forward in education, and I also support this idea that Julie and I have talked about, that you know, we need data to find out if what we're doing is working, and I think this is one way of doing it. That if we see how this program is actually engaging, it's a lot of money and it's going to be significant teacher time. I think it's great that we're going to support this and get data to see how it's going, and then we can modify it, change it, or do whatever, you know, midstream. So thank you, Julie and Dr. Jory.
Dr. Jory took his hand out. Or
I did, but I'll go. I absolutely agree that we should be tracking this, that we should have an idea of how many NERTs we've had, how many people involved, what topics were covered, and get a general feel for the progress and what other kinds of considerations or modifications that might give it a chance to have even more impact. It's interesting. I was in a school today, and it was one of the topics that people seem to be most excited about when I was in my conversations with teachers. And it was kind of cute. One of them explained back to me what it was, not really realizing that it's such a hand in its development. And I was nodding very intently. Yes, that is exactly what it is. It was kind of fun to hear it kind of chime back to me with all the intentions and of course how it was going with some enthusiasm. So that was nice to hear. But yeah, absolutely agree. We should be doing a report out in a fulsome manner in the middle of next year.
Great. Trustee Young.
Yeah, I support that. I actually support that we should be looking at all of what we're doing with that kind of light. But also, is there a way that we can make it a little bit more public too? Like maybe through our educational reporting that we do each public meeting or something like that, because I think sometimes we report out on things as a part of the budget process, and maybe not everybody hears about it. And then I just think it's good news, and we need to get the good news out. And so, yeah, if we can think of another way of doing it, that would be great.
Multiple ways is better too. Multiple. Yep. Ms. Wilson. You're mute. You're mute.
One of the great places to have this conversation is also through the Curriculum Implementation Advisory Committee, which is a committee that's within our collective agreement. And we have worked with our local to be able to expand the membership of that committee. And so hopefully the reps that are going to be there on that committee from each school will be able to do some of the sharing out, and then we can take it back to the Education Committee. Also want to acknowledge that committee that they talked about how do we create a one pager that will capture some of the comments around what NERT is and isn't, that would be ready and available to share with staffs in September, knowing that there might be new staffs and things like that. So teachers are really interested and engaged in how do we communicate some of the things that we're doing, and that's already an established committee that can do some of the work that you're asking.
Yeah, I forgot about that one pager. That was at the last meeting. That was going to be co-constructed with a team of teachers. Yeah. Trustee Kurland.
And so, yeah, just having those, the information coming back to the Education Committee, you know, from the committee you were talking about, Jillian, so that would eventually, that would come to the board. So that's a logical pathway for that.
Pathway. Yep. Great. Okay. And again to you, Trustee Austin, a discussion of at the June regular board meeting to discuss our meetings, but I'll let you set the stage, and this is for a discussion, more fulsome discussion in June, but Julie likes to give the heads up. And so Trustee Austin, over to you.
This was normally if we have a notice of something, it's a notice of motion. However, I had no idea if or even what the motion would be until we had a discussion. So I'm hoping that trustees will take the month and think about our meetings, the days of our meetings, the times of our meetings, how we deliver the meetings, everything having to do with our meetings. Right now, you know, they're held during the day or, you know, later in the day. But I encourage trustees to take the month, look at what some of the other school districts in the province do that have committee of the whole meetings. I'm not necessarily talking about our regular board meeting. That would actually require a change in our bylaw. But we wouldn't, to look at our committee meetings doesn't necessarily require a change to the bylaw. I think it's worth visiting every once in a while because we have set our meetings in the past because of trustee schedules or what might work best for trustees to get to those meetings. So I think it's well worth us looking at it. So I'm just encouraging trustees to please take the time, think about it, look at what some of our other the other districts do in terms of their committee meetings and times, and then we can have the discussion at the June meeting. If there is an appetite for some sort of change, perhaps there can be a motion then. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Austin. I think good for food for thought, because, you know, we just because we did it this way doesn't mean you have to do it always this way. And so that's a good time to reflect. So that's a little bit of homework for trustees to think about timing of meetings and things like that. There is no new or unfinished business or board correspondence, so I will open the floor to the public question period. I only have a snippet of a screen here, so if you could come on screen and raise hands, that would be appreciated. Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much, folks, for joining us this evening. There's a little bit of sun left of tonight to go and enjoy. I think it almost got to 20 degrees today. So have a pleasant evening, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn, please. Thank you, Trustee Kellogg. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us.